Don't cancel. Whatever you do, don't cancel. I'm so glad you're here watching this video. If you're struggling with a friend type of reunion this weekend, or seeing family or anybody that you're afraid might judge you because of your weight, and you're feeling you're too big and too ashamed to even face going, then watch this first, because what I want to do with you today on this beautiful Food Freedom Friday is I'm just going to give you a beautiful reframe that you can really take into your body, into your cells, and take with you into the weekend ahead. Because the biggest danger that fat shame or overeating shame, emotional eating shame can bring is that we miss out on the very life we desperately want to live. And in this case, you might be somebody who's feeling just too fat to face seeing old friends or family. And there's nothing worse than looking back at your life, knowing all the times you didn't show up and you weren't present and you weren't able to spend time with loved ones just because of the way you were feeling about yourself and inside your body. And while I can absolutely resonate with that, I've been there, and I hold my hand up and say I have missed out on so many moments with friends and family that I can never get back. In fact, particularly friends and family who are no longer with us. And I was only missed those events because I was such a deep space of despair and self-loathing. I couldn't bring myself to show up. So what I want to do is share with you what I wish I had been given and heard back then, so that I could have found the courage to step up, stand up, hold my shoulders back and my head high, and go into that social situation, not without anxiety or without fear of judgment, but I would have been able to show up and hopefully be able to be truly present. And that's what I want to give to you today, a tool that you can use to make it into the weekend ahead, face that experience, and hopefully get some true delight. Because we also know that oftentimes when we don't want to go, but we go anyway, we're always so glad that we did. Hi, my name's Helen. I'm a coach who helps people end yo-yo dieting, body shame, emotional eating. Essentially, what I do is I help people stop feeling compulsive around food. But to do that, we have to do a lot of practical work. And this is one of those perfect examples of when there's some practical stuff you can do that you can put in place to ensure that you don't miss out on life while you're busy doing the work to break all of those compulsions. So it's Food Freedom Friday. I used to go live on a Monday, live at lunch. I'm now just sort of popping up on a Friday with challenges that I've been given during the week. And if you would like to give me your challenge for next weekend so that I can help you and give you some tools and some ideas on how you can navigate a food freedom or a body shame challenge in the weekend ahead, then let me know. I wanted to move these to Fridays because we all know that the weekends can be the toughest time of the week. And the more progress that you make with your food freedom or your body shame freedom during the weekends, it sort of counts for triple. And so I really want to help you make progress and momentum. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to get you results. And if food freedom is the result you're wanting from the year ahead, then yes, it's going to take work, but this is the repeated stuff that we do that starts to encode itself to the point at which you don't even have to go through this procedure that we're about to do, because it would just be so natural to you that if you're ever feeling shame about your appearance in this particular instance, you will just automatically default to something new that helps you stand up, be seen, be present, and not hide anymore. So let's dive in. Let me give you the exact message that I received, and I love this one because I resonated with it so much, and I have a feeling that so many people, including your wonderful self, are going, "Oh my God, I know exactly what this person is going through, and I want to know how the hell to show up despite feeling shame." So she says, "I'm seeing a few old schoolmates for the first time in years, and I'm petrified. I was hoping to lose weight by now, but I'm the biggest I've ever been. I really want to see them, but I'm feeling so much shame about my weight that I'm thinking of canceling. Any thoughts?" And yes, not only do I have thoughts, I have tools and skills that you can begin to practice. What we're going to do, and it's very, very simple. We want to look at the story that's in your head about the body that you're in today. Right? We want to just extract that story. And what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to like myth bust that story. We're going to take it down to Chinatown, and we're going to put a new story in there so that you will feel better going into that experience, and so that you don't spiral into a pit of shame and eat your feelings this evening or over the weekend. We really want you to be able to feel discomfort, worry, fair enough. You might be worried about judgments, And they might be out there. We're not saying people don't judge. They do. And sadly, society judges for no good reason. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why. But ultimately, your ability to get out there, have some fun, see your old friends, and deal with whatever judgments might be in people's minds, and instead be present for life while you're on this journey is what we want to achieve today. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the story that you're carrying about your weight currently. You say you're the biggest you've ever been. Something I hear quite a bit when people reach out to me, because I tend to be a bit of a last resort. When they've tried everything, they reach out to Coach Hell's Bells for a bit of food freedom support, because we realize we've got to do the underlying work and we've got to root out what is driving the overeating in the first place. And I bet that story, when you imagine what people might be thinking when they see you in the biggest body you've ever been, you're probably going to hear, and actually, if you're watching this in the replay, please pause the video and actually write down, if you can, or speak it out loud, the story that you're hearing in your head. Because I bet the story is something like, they're going to think, I'm fat, I'm disgusting, I'm lazy, I'm greedy. In fact, maybe you don't even hear the bit they're going to think. You just go straight to, I'm fat, I'm disgusting, I'm greedy, I'm lazy, I'm undisciplined, etc. I'm revolting. And maybe even go somewhere into a place of a bit of despair about, you've tried so much and nothing's changing, and will it ever get better than this? And I say this actually because I worked on something like this, very similar, with a client this morning. As we dug in, we saw below the head worms, all those negative thoughts that were saying how awful she was. She also noticed a deep feeling of despair that nothing would ever change. So we're going to break that right here and now, because all of it, that story in your head that stings and is cruel and feels so very true right now, all of it is a lie. All of it is a lie. So let's talk about what the truth is. And I'm not going to paint any rainbows on this. I'm not going to Mary Poppins this. We're going to get real about what is true for you and for anybody else who's found themselves in a compulsive relationship with food. And here is the truth. And I'd love you to hear this and breathe this in and really feel the truth of this. You are not overweight. You're not the biggest you've ever been, because you are lazy, greedy, or undisciplined. And I bet that if you looked at every other part of your life, you'd see all the ways in which you show up, particularly for other people, and you work your ass off, and you are so disciplined in so many other ways. So why would it be that in this one particular way, you suddenly short of discipline? No, you are a disciplined, hardworking, dedicated human being who probably goes above and beyond in so many ways in your life. But when it comes, you feel out of control, and maybe using the words greedy, lazy, undisciplined, etc., revolting, disgusting. These are all words that I used to use on myself. So I hear you, and I've been there. But all of it is a lie. So what is the truth? The truth is that somewhere along the line, food has come in to save you. It might have saved you from a highly restrictive diet that put your body in an unbelievable space of fear, that it was going to die, and its job was to get you to eat again. And it's got very good at that job every time you even think about heavy restriction. Now, I talk a lot about that in these lives. I'm not going to go through it all again. You could probably watch a few others, and I'll try and link some to this video afterwards, so that if you don't understand what I've just said about that primal hunger that can emerge as a way of keeping you safe if you've been in highly restrictive diets, that might be one of the reasons that food has come in to save you, and why overeating shows up every time you try and embark on a new diet plan. But I think the bigger reasons that you have been overeating that are here to save you today is that somewhere along the line, you have been in an unbelievable amount of pain, and you were left alone to deal with that pain. You had nobody to go to. You would maybe come home from school all alone, or whatever it might be. In fact, maybe at the time that these school friends used to be around you, you were going through some stuff that you were led to believe you needed to figure out on your own, or that you didn't feel that you were allowed to express, because maybe those feelings that you were going through and those thoughts were poo-pooed, or you felt that If you shared them with somebody, there might be trouble, or somebody else might get in trouble, or something of that nature. All I know is that food has shown up as a way to save you. It helped you get through, whether that was through comfort or companionship or just sheer numbing and escape of something that was so awful that you couldn't bear it. Now, you're not weak. Us human beings, we can't sit in a space of pain and just do nothing about it. And if we weren't given the tools when you're younger, and I bet you weren't, you reach for food as a way to feel better, to escape that pain. Food pulled you through pain at some time, probably when you were younger. And not just one moment, it probably showed up repeatedly. And over time, your nervous system learned that this was something that would make you feel better when you didn't have any other tools. So you're calling yourself fat and lazy and greedy and undisciplined. And in fact, you were using something to get through something very painful, and that habit has stuck. So I'm not going to go into today to how to unstick that habit and how to learn new skills, although that's what I teach in the Food Freedom Foundations program, and you're welcome to dive into that. But what I will say is when that story shows up saying, I can't be seen because I'm fat and they'll think I'm greedy, lazy, ugly, undisciplined, whatever, undisciplined, disgusting, revolting, you're going to turn that into, no, I used food to escape pain. Food was actually there to save me. And if they knew what I'd been through and that I didn't have the tools, because if I had, I would have used them. If they knew that, there's no way they would judge me. In fact, they would be my biggest bloody supporters. If they knew what you'd been through and why you're reaching for food, which has led to that weight, they would just want to give you big hugs and be there for you and ask, how can I help? That's the truth. And that's truth of your friends and every stranger who has a judgment about fatness. Because in my experience, people who are in bigger bodies than their natural shape, that's all happened because food has come in to save them somehow. And if we knew their story, nobody in society would judge them, would do nothing but support them. So when you're sitting there feeling that shame, remind yourself, if somebody knew what I'd gone through and why food showed up for me, they would never judge me negatively. That they would be my biggest cheerleader, right? And the second part to this is not just, okay, we've figured out why I've been eating, but also I'm on a journey to change that. Now, maybe you've only just discovered me, and maybe you've only just discovered this idea, and maybe you didn't know up until today that you can learn skills to navigate, to release that old pain, because it's probably sitting down there, rumbling away, waiting to be expressed. And maybe you never knew that there were ways to do that and that that was something you needed to do. And maybe you never knew until today that you could learn skills to take those old feelings, those uncomfortable, painful feelings, and root them into a new direction that you never need to use food or any other behavior or substance again to escape that pain. And now that you know, you can start investigating and doing better, but it's going to take time, it's going to take practice, and it's going to take learning new skills. And now that you know that, you can begin to tell yourself in those moments of shame, I'm on a journey to change the real reason and to heal the real root cause of my overeating. And they probably don't know any of that. They don't. And again, if they knew, they'd probably support me and be cheering me on every step of the way, because if they'd had my life and lived in my shoes and reached for food the way that I did when I needed to, because I had no other tools to cope, they would never judge me negatively and they would be with me, ready to help me along my journey. And if you're ready to do the slow, dedicated, persistent, consistent, playing the long game journey of rooting out the reasons why you're overeating, learning to process all of that pain and release it, learning to navigate emotions similar to that and triggers as they come up again, and you're ready to do that work, then all you ever need to think from now onwards when you feel body shame is, I'm on a journey to reconnect with my body and come back to the me that is me, the me that feels like the healthiest, happiest, most freest version of me. And while I'm on that journey, people may judge, and that's because they don't understand. They don't understand. Because if they knew, they would never judge. And while I'm on that journey, every time I notice that sting of shame that's trying to hold me back from living my life, I will remind myself that I'm not greedy or lazy or undisciplined. I am somebody who used a substance or a behavior, eating, substance, food, to help get me through something very challenging. And had I had better tools, I would have used them, right? And now I'm learning better tools, and I'm going to do what it takes for as long as it takes to retrain my entire nervous system to a new automagical default through repetition and action and practice and making mistakes and getting up again. I will keep doing that for as long as it takes until I have a new relationship with food. And along the way, yes, weight loss will be the byproduct, but ultimately I'm doing the real work now. And I'm so proud of myself for showing up despite my shame and allowing myself the gift of being with the people that I love and having a laugh with old friends and being there for them. And here's the last thing I'd love you to have a little think about. I bet that at least 50% of your friends struggle with their own stuff, and particularly probably around food and weight, because it seems to be the norm these days, doesn't it? It really does. So when you find yourself thinking, oh my God, we can also remind ourselves that they probably have their own struggles. And maybe it's not around weight, but you can bet that they, like so many of us, had found tools, substances, behaviors to cope with their struggles. And they've got their own shame and their own journey and their own stuff. So let's give them a little bit of love and compassion. And remember, of course, we don't always know what's going on. Some people look like they got it all together and super confident. They might even be in perfectly normal, in your eyes, beautiful, slim, slender bodies. But we don't know the truth behind all of that. So given that we don't know, let's try and let go of what we can. Take a deep breath. Hold your head high. It's okay that you're feeling some feelings of anxiety. Of course you are. Of course you are. And then do this work to remind yourself of what you need to remember, because the story that you're hearing that's creating shame, it's all a lie. And that doesn't mean that people don't judge. They do. Some people do. But I think a lot more people, if they were to understand this, would judge you with so much kindness and compassion, and they'd want nothing but to cheer you on as you go through this journey of food freedom. So I hope you find that helpful. If you're watching and you've got something that you want to add to that or ask, please always, if you catch me live, you can pop your questions and your whatever's in the comments. I'm really ready to engage with you in this format live. But if you just found that useful, I'd love to know through a little bit of a thumbs up, or share this with somebody who you know needs to hear this. That would be great, because we need to get this stuff out there to people who don't understand and who are blaming themselves. Oh my God, how have I managed to be 20 minutes in? If you know me and you work with me, you'll know that that's pretty standard operating procedure, because I'm so passionate about this. And I want you to experience more and more freedom until you don't have to do this work anymore. It just comes naturally to you. And if weight loss is part of your journey, I'd love that to be the beautiful side effect that makes you feel more like you in the body that feels like you again as part of this work, because you change your relationship with food. You will eat less, and those overeating moments, drowning yourself, drowning your shame, eating your shame, will become something that will show up less and less and less. But it takes work, and it takes doing things repeatedly until they start to shift. So as much as I love doing these videos and I love to entertain and put on a bit of a show and be performative, I'm actually here to get you results. And if not eating your shame and if showing up despite shame is something you want to achieve this weekend, then I'm really hoping this video will help you do it. Please let me know if that's helped. And if you have anything, please pop it in the comments. I'm dying to hear. And of course, if you have a challenge for next weekend that you'd like to work on, let me know. Pop it in the comments, or send me a little message, or get hold of me at foodfreedomfoundations.com, and we will work on that together so that I can help you create a little bit more freedom in your life. And if we do this enough, the whole needle starts to move. It's not a quick fix, but it is a permanent one. That's why I love this work. Our goal is to get to the point where you no longer need to watch these videos. I want you to be at that point where you're like, hell's bells, thanks very much, I'm golden. And then you'll have different, better quality problems out there for you. All right? So my job is to have you in a position where you actually don't need these videos anymore, because everything has changed. And that might take some time, but boy, is it worth it. All right. Have a beautiful weekend. May it be filled with all sorts of moments of joy and delight and lots of food freedom. If you are struggling with food and you'd like to work through the Food Freedom Foundation's program with me, connect with me. Let's jump on a call. I'll talk you through it. We can work together privately or in a beautiful, small, committed group of food freedom fighters. And in a year's time, I think you're going to be gobsmacked by how different your relationship with your emotions, your pain, and food can be and will be. All right, lovelies, have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I will see you next Food Freedom Friday with a new challenge for the weekend ahead. And we're going to bust that stuff up and turn things around fast. Have a good one. Chat to you then. Bye. Adios.